The movie begins its story in the setting of an art class. Here, we meet Noel, our central character, whose artistic talents are on full display. She becomes aware of her classmate Luke, who can't seem to take his eyes off her impressive art pieces. This attention causes Noel a mix of emotions, ranging from flattery to nervousness, as she's not used to being the center of such attention. Later, as night falls, we find Noel in her campus residence, ambitiously trying to channel her artistic vision onto the canvas. However, her concentration is repeatedly shattered by the sounds of her roommate's amorous adventures taking place just outside, in the backyard. This distraction leaves Noel's creative efforts frustrated and incomplete. The following day brings with it a significant challenge for Noel. Her art, which she pours her soul into, is exposed to the critical and unrelenting eyes of her peers. This experience is akin to a personal nightmare, where she feels as vulnerable and exposed as a canvas splashed haphazardly with paint. Professor Rudd, noticing her discomfort, steps in with a piece of wisdom. He acknowledges Noel's technical prowess, but also points out a noticeable restraint in her work. He advises her to let go, to embrace a bit of chaos in her artistic process, much like the famous artist Jackson Pollock did in his work. Seeking solace, Noel retreats to a quiet spot on campus, immersing herself in her sketchbook. It's here that she observes Luke, the subject of her recent unease, enjoying the company of his friends. In a surprising turn, reminiscent of a scene from a romantic comedy, Luke approaches Noel and invites her to an upcoming party. This unexpected invitation sends Noel's heart racing, and she excitedly accepts, feeling as though she's just struck gold in her personal life. As the party approaches, Noel finds herself in a flurry of preparation. During this time, her roommate Skylar, who fancies herself a sage in matters of the heart, compliments Noel and curiously probes about any potential romantic interest. Skylar, ever the enthusiast of love stories and an avid follower of dating reality shows, listens intently as Noel shyly reveals her growing attraction towards Luke. Acting as a modern matchmaker, Skylar excitedly suggests that Noel should take the bold step of inviting Luke over, setting the stage for a more intimate interaction. As the moment of the party draws nearer, Noel feels a whirlwind of excitement and nervousness. The concept of dating is new and daunting to her, a realm filled with unknowns and possibilities. Skylar, ever the confident advisor in romantic endeavors, reassures Noel. She humorously notes that attracting a man's attention should be as simple as attracting flies at a picnic. With these words, Noel steels herself for the evening ahead, stepping into a world that is as unpredictable and thrilling as her art. The storyline intensifies as Noel finds herself in a deep conversation with Luke, her classmate. Their interaction quickly evolves into an intricate dance of words filled with artistic references and mutual admiration. Luke, eager to showcase his own artistic endeavors, invites Noel to his room to reveal his collection of ceramic works. However, the situation takes a dark and unexpected turn. What starts as an innocent showcase of artistry abruptly shifts into a disturbing confrontation when Luke misinterprets the situation and makes an unwelcome advance towards Noel. The atmosphere becomes charged with tension as Luke's actions escalate, pushing Noel onto the bed. Noel is left in a state of shock and vulnerability, unable to fend off Luke's overpowering force. The harrowing experience ends with Luke coldly ushering a distraught Noel out of his room, leaving her overwhelmed with a mix of emotions. Returning home, Noel seeks refuge in the pool, immersing herself in the water as a way to escape her turmoil. Her cries are muffled by the water, symbolizing her feeling of being silenced and alone in her distress. The following day brings no relief, as Skylar, Noel's housemate, senses that something is terribly wrong. Despite Noel's attempts to hide her pain, Skylar's intuition tells her that her friend has suffered a significant trauma. Upon learning about the incident, Skylar empathetically listens but discourages Noel from reporting it. She shares a story of a friend who faced public shame and disbelief after reporting a similar experience, suggesting that Noel should try to move on to avoid similar repercussions. Attempting to follow Skylar's advice, Noel tries to resume her normal routine and returns to class. However, the situation becomes more complicated when Luke also shows up, causing Noel great discomfort. Another classmate, Shane, notices her distress and tries to check in on her, but overwhelmed by the situation, Noel quickly leaves the scene. Despite Skylar's warnings, Noel decides to seek help from the school counselor, hoping to find some solace and guidance. But the counselor's response is far from supportive, questioning Noel's account and implying that she might have been misunderstood during the encounter. The counselor leaves Noel doubting herself and feeling even more isolated. Following this disheartening meeting, Noel receives a message from Luke, asking her to visit him. She decides to confront him, demanding an acknowledgement and apology for his actions. Luke, however, remains in denial, infuriating Noel and leading to a physical altercation. In the heat of the moment, Luke accidentally falls over the banister, resulting in his death. The shock of witnessing Luke's lifeless body triggers a profound change in Noel. In a moment of intense emotional upheaval, she breaks a picture frame and uses a shard of glass to cut herself, fixated on the sight of her own blood. The next day, Detective Kennedy begins investigating Luke's death and quickly discovers the last message sent to Noel. In class, the mood is somber due to Luke's death. Professor Rudd, sensing the students' grief, cancels the lesson to give them time to cope. Detective Kennedy approaches Noel afterwards, and she provides a version of events that omits her involvement in Luke's death. That evening, as Noel reads about Luke's death, she stumbles upon another report about a horrific incident involving 3 football players and a woman, reminiscent of her own experience. Watching the video of the incident, she's deeply disturbed and triggered by the similarities to her own ordeal. The following day, Noel tries to engage with Lindsay, another victim mentioned in the report, about her experience. Initially, Lindsay is reluctant to discuss her trauma, but Noel's admission of being a survivor herself piques Lindsay's interest. Over coffee, Lindsay shares her regret over speaking out, revealing the societal backlash she faced and her disillusionment with the justice system. Noel empathizes, reinforcing the shared frustration and despair that victims often feel in the aftermath of such traumatic events. In the intense narrative of the story, Noel grapples with the aftermath of her own traumatic experience and the story of Lindsay, another victim. Her struggle to come to terms with these events is palpable as she tries to focus on her art, but the weight of these experiences makes it difficult for her to concentrate. Seeking support and understanding, Noel attends a meeting with Vida Balboa, a group dedicated to advocating for women who have faced similar traumas. At this meeting, she meets Jenna, the group's president, who shares the disheartening news that Lindsay's attackers escaped jail time due to a lack of clear evidence in the video and the spread of malicious rumors against the victim. The meeting turns to a broader discussion about the disturbing trend of unpunished violence against women. A member suggests distributing special nail polish to female students, which changes color if their drinks are spiked, as a preventive measure. Noel, however, challenges this approach, arguing that the focus should be on educating and deterring men from committing such acts in the first place. Jenna, more cynical, counters that this is unlikely and emphasizes the importance of preparedness in such situations. Noel points out the systemic issues that leave women vulnerable and stresses the need for institutional change, advocating for educating men not to commit these crimes instead of just advising women on how to avoid being victimized. The group, however, seems resigned to the fact that not all men will be receptive to this education, leaving them with no alternative but to increase awareness and offer support where possible. Disappointed with this stance, Noel decides to take a more direct approach to addressing her trauma. Transforming her appearance with a pink wig and a new look, Noel infiltrates a party hosted by Lindsay's assailants. She catches the eye of Mason, one of the assailants, and lures him to his room. In a dramatic turn, she drugs Mason, mirroring the way he victimized Lindsay. As Mason struggles under the effects of the drug, Noel takes control, leaving him gasping for air. After carrying out her plan, she leaves the scene. Back home, Noel channels her emotions into her art, heedlessly altering her artwork in a way that reflects her tumultuous state of mind. This cathartic process eventually brings her a sense of satisfaction as she completes a new painting. The following morning, Skylar finds Noel by the pool, noticing a rejuvenated spirit in her. Meanwhile, Detective Kennedy investigates Mason's death and recognizes him from Lindsay's case. He interviews Jeremiah, another suspect in the case. Noel's new artwork garners praise from her professor and classmates. She keeps a vigilant watch on the fraternity house, plotting her next move. Seizing an opportunity, she confronts Jeremiah in the bathroom and, after a brief flirtation, attacks him. Shortly after, Kennedy returns to find Jeremiah has also died. Noel's crusade continues as she targets Connor, the third suspect in Lindsay's case. Armed with a hammer, she confronts him in the stadium showers. In a tense struggle, Noel manages to deliver a fatal blow, even after being tripped and choked by Connor. The campus is abuzz with news of the deaths. Police investigations reveal Mason's last encounter with a woman in a pink wig. Amidst these events, Noel finds a new sense of inspiration in her art. Another detective approaches Lindsay, who expresses frustration that the deaths of the assailants are overshadowing the harm they inflicted. Lindsay suggests the police should investigate whether there were other victims too scared to come forward. During a Vita Balboa meeting, some members feel empowered by the recent events, hoping it will deter future assaults. However, Jenna reminds them that their goal is to support survivors, not to celebrate violence. In a more personal moment, Noel spends time with Shane, a man she genuinely likes. Their connection deepens, and Shane is attentive to Noel's comfort and consent. However, Noel's past trauma with Luke interrupts their intimacy, and she asks Shane to leave. After Shane leaves, Noel discovers Skylar, now revealed to be Daisy, in a state of distress, having harmed herself. Noel cares for her, learning about Daisy's desire to reinvent herself following her own traumatic experience. Realizing the depth of Daisy's pain, Noel stays with her, offering comfort and support as she sleeps. Soon after, Noel, still reeling from the traumatic events, decides to delve deeper into Skylar's past. She discovers that Skylar, her roommate and confidant, was actually the friend she had previously mentioned, a victim who faced harsh criticism after reporting her own assault. However, Noel's quest for further information hits a roadblock when she finds that related articles have been blocked online. Undeterred, she heads to the campus office in search of answers, but is met with limited cooperation. The office only provides her with basic statistics, which frustratingly show no recent reports of assault. Determined to uncover the truth, Noel follows an officer named Dave to a storage room where she spots Skylar's case file. In a moment of quick thinking, she creates a distraction, allowing her to stealthily take the file. Back at home, she finds Skylar seemingly in high spirits following a visit to her parents. Yet, Noel senses a facade, hiding Skylar's true feelings. She offers her support, but once Skylar leaves, Noel's attention turns to the file. She discovers disturbing details, including a psychotherapist's diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, which contributed to the dismissal of Skylar's case. Armed with this information, Noel confronts the therapist, Melinda Sanders, accusing her of professional misconduct. The therapist, visibly anxious, invites Noel to discuss her concerns. However, Noel remains skeptical, fearing that Melinda might diagnose her with a mental disorder to discredit her. She sternly warns Melinda to either amend her practices or step down, hinting at a willingness to take further action if necessary. That night, Noel sets her sights on Calvin, Skylar's assailant. She lures him out of his house under the guise of needing help with a flat tire, then incapacitates him with a taser and abducts him to an isolated gymnasium. As Calvin regains consciousness, bound and injured, Noel confronts him with evidence of his crime against Skylar. However, their confrontation is interrupted by Dave, who, while enjoying a romantic evening, stumbles upon blood trails near the gym. Inside, Noel removes Calvin's gag, prompting him to beg for mercy and claim he has changed. But their interaction is cut short when they hear someone approaching, leading to a panicked reaction from Noel. Fleeing the scene as detectives arrive, Noel rushes home, hastily explaining away the blood on her as paint. In her room, she discards her incriminating clothes and collapses under the weight of her actions. Detective Kennedy, meanwhile, makes the connection between Calvin and Skylar and begins surveillance on their residence. As Noel attends class, she is selected as the graduation speaker, a moment of joy amidst chaos. Unbeknownst to her, Skylar discovers her blood-stained shirt and evidence of her involvement in Calvin's attack. Skylar confronts Noel, who admits to seeking vengeance on her behalf. Skylar is distraught, fearing the repercussions if Calvin survives and implicates Noel. Guilt-ridden, Noel resolves to surrender to the police. However, she is shocked to find a confession letter from Skylar and discovers her roommate's tragic decision in the bathroom. In the aftermath, as the police investigate Skylar's death, Noel speaks with Detective Kennedy, defending her actions against the men and the broader injustice they represented. She is eventually released, but not without a sense of guilt and responsibility. Noel later reconnects with Shane, apologizing for their previous encounter, and he offers his condolences for Skylar. As she prepares her graduation speech, Noel struggles with her emotions and the weight of recent events. She decides to burn Skylar's confession, a secret she keeps from the authorities. On graduation day, Noel delivers a powerful speech about art and truth, even as the police close in on her for Calvin's assault. She ends her address with a call to reveal uncomfortable truths and is promptly taken into custody. Despite her arrest, Noel smiles, content in the belief that her actions have made the world a safer place, bringing the movie to a dramatic conclusion. Did this story spook you out? Let us know in the comments below. For more horror movie recaps, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you in the next one. Fear awaits you.